Klaus Lehn Christensen he's the manager of DI East Africa, as well as James Odongo, Chief Administrative Officer at KEPRO. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. And in case you're wondering, we're not speaking jargon tonight. Basically, today we're talking about sustainability and how to recycle materials from household level to national level. We invite you, of course, to join the conversation online. I'm already seeing your questions and your feedback. Please, if you're using our SMS portal, start with your name and where you're watching us from, and your feedback, your question, or your review about the show. Before into the break, Klaus, James was talking about the separation of waste and such, ideas that, as a country and in our societies that Kenyans at a personal level need to emulate. I wonder what is the future of packaging, because in Europe we've seen what is happening over there, but what are some of the packaging trends that we've seen in the EU in this context of speaking on matter sustainability, and what can we borrow?
I think we're moving towards a lot of nature-based products. Okay. So products that can be degraded and used for compost, for example. Bamboo is a good example for food trays, for example. So I think we'll see, not that we'll always have plastic, which is still a good product if it's handled in the right way. But we're seeing more and more nature-based products come in as substitutes, which is good to see. Yeah.
When you look even at the industry of plastics, starting all the way 1907 when the innovations were made, trillions of dollars have been made out of the plastic industry. And when we start talking about and management, sustainability in this 21st century, do you foresee that perhaps at some point we will get to an area where we say, fine, we are almost halfway towards what we want to achieve?
In this country?
In this country.
In general?
In this country and also globally.
Okay. I mean, we have the SDGs for a reason, the Sustainable Development Goals. Right now we know we're not going to make these targets by 2030, but it sets a direction and it creates a vision. And I think that's what we need as a society. We need a vision where the consumers and the youth are getting educated according to a green vision in this case. So I don't think we'll ever achieve 100%.
Okay.
But it's a moving target, right?
It's working.
But if you as a country set a vision and a direction, because we're talking about awareness. This is fairly new concepts in Kenya. So that's why we're working with KEPRO a lot around this, the youth engagement, bringing it into primary schools. Could this be part of a curriculum for the primary schools? We've already done a few in Nairobi this year, because those are the future consumers that will run the show. They will say yes or no to a given product based on, is it sustainable? Can you trace its origin, etc.
Absolutely. And great insight over there. James, there is this whole conversation on extended producer responsibility, the PEPR, and it is pretty much goes down to the producers of these materials.
Yes.
And it's been quite heated over the years. Do you think the legal frameworks that exist, if any, Kenyans are not pretty much conversant with them to even begin with, the producers specifically?
Okay, so I do want to respond in two ways.
Yes.
One is, it's a case of the act or the law coming into place very recently. So you are aware that the Sustainable Waste Management Act was assented into law in 2022. It might be a case of we've not adequately conveyed the information to all other actors and relevant entities. But then there's also another crop of producers or relevant stakeholders who've, quote unquote, deliberately chosen to ignore the information and waiting for the authorities to use the stick as far as enforcement is concerned.
Yeah.
So it's as I've said, it's really a two-way conversation.
How are you making it, palatable, and is there a word out there for general knowledge, especially for Kenyans?
Yes, by and large, and so when NEMA put out the notice in terms of moving towards the enforcement and compliance of EPR, one of the conditions we gave to NEMA, and of course as private sector, was that we're introducing what we are calling the assisted compliance, where NEMA is not moving directly into direct enforcement, but supporting producers and bringing them on board to be able to understand what is required of them as far as EPR is concerned, and ensuring that everybody is aware of their responsibilities before we move to the actual enforcement, where you're imposing fines or prosecuting individuals as far as the regulatory provisions are concerned. So by and large, I think there will be continuous engagement. In the initial phase that NEMA has shared, you're looking at between 6 months to 1 year of assisted compliance, just trying to bring on board producers, helping them understand that what is this whole EPR conversation about. After they've understood, now they either institute individual EPR compliance schemes or join collective EPR compliance schemes such as KEPRO, and then from there is when we move towards the next phase of enforcement and ensuring full compliance. Yes.
Klaus, you mentioned earlier on incorporation of these behaviors